Good morning and welcome back to Mudwalkers. My name is Chris and this is Mudwalkers. So we often talk about clothing and its lack in the Bible in terms of commands and mandates. That's usually my focus. But textiles like to bring up the issue of shame, or more rightly called dishonor. And I've pointed to some examples that make it pretty clear that shame is not the same thing as sin. You can't just say shame equals sin, because then you have a really big set of problems, or a large set of big problems. So I've been talking about this issue for so long that when a friend of mine came to me recently and said, hey, you realize that there's a whole other instance of shame that you didn't even touch on, and it comes right from the Bible. Really? Yeah, he found one. And it's so obvious that I'm embarrassed that I didn't see it before now, and I think you guys will laugh along with me when I tell you what it is, if you haven't noticed from the title already. Yeshua's crucifixion is probably the best example that we have for shame not equaling sin. We all agree that Yeshua is sinless, and yet he volunteered for a crucifixion. But rather than being immune from the shame, the Bible says that Yeshua despised the shame. Let's see what it says. I have my notes here. This is Hebrews 12:2. You know, Yeshua despised the shame. And in Greek, the word for despise is, forgive my pronunciation, kataphroneo, which is Strong's G2706, which means to disdain, to think of something as small, or to think of it as nothing. We get an even clearer picture of this word in Matthew and Luke, where Yeshua himself uses the term. He says, no one can serve two masters, for either he will love the one and hate the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. He also says this, see that you do not despise one of the little ones, for I tell you that in heaven their angels always see the face of my Father who is in heaven. That's Matthew 18, verse 10. So it looks like the term has a sort of disregard flavor to it, to think of as nothing. You're disregarding it, you're thinking of it as nothing, it's not important, or it's less important than what you're getting at in your task at hand, or the idea at hand. It's worth disregarding. We're not really going to take that one seriously. Seems to be the idea of this term. So it looks like the term has the sense of like disregarding something as unimportant. So let's plug that term into these other verses and see how they read. He will be devoted to one master and disregard the other. Okay. See that you do not disregard any of these little ones, any children. Christ endured the cross, disregarding the shame. It's not that Yeshua was immune to the shame, but that he disregarded it. He deprioritized it. It was less important than the issue and task at hand. So unimportant, it was worth regarding as nothing. It was worth just thinking of as unimportant in comparison to what he was doing. This episode of Mudwalkers is brought to you by Patreon. These guys are my patrons. They're making the channel happen. They're keeping my work sustainable. So guys, thank you for what you're doing over on Patreon. Patreon is where you can support what I do and keep Mudwalkers going, financially speaking. Over there, you also get certain benefits for being a patron. You get, at the lowest level, you get early access to all my mainline content, videos like this one, but as you start to go up, you get access to other cool benefits, like our monthly Zoom call for our Mudwalker tier and up. That's a great time for us to get together and share stories and swap ideas, and just in general, hang out and have fun. The Mudwalker tier and above also get access to all my other Patreon exclusive content, things like cooking videos, travel vlogs, resort tours, etc., etc. Also, I have a website, nakedmeanshuman.com. Over there you can sign up for our newsletter, just in case YouTube decides to delete my entire channel and all my videos without notice again. You can stay connected to my content that way. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get back into the video. But Chris, someone might say, the shame here wasn't voluntary. It was forced upon Jesus. It was forced upon Yeshua. He didn't just like step out there and say, okay, I'm going to take off my clothes now and I'm going to be crucified. The Roman soldiers ripped his clothes off of him. Shame was something that was forced upon the crucifixion victim. Yes and no. Physically, that is the case. Voluntarily, it's not the case. So, especially with Yeshua in particular. So, when Yeshua was on his way to be crucified, he told his students that no one takes his life from him, but he gives it willingly. And as he was getting even closer to the crucifixion, he said, don't you realize that I could call down legions upon legions upon legions of angels to just rescue me from this situation? So at every single second of the entire process of his trial, his beatings, and his crucifixion, every single moment of that was Yeshua saying, no, I'm going to keep going. 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 No, I'm not going to get saved. I'm going to keep going. No, the angels will not protect me. I will keep going. No, my followers will not slaughter the Romans to get me out of here. I will keep going. So at every single second, every millisecond, every instant of time, Yeshua is constantly making the decision to stay put, to stay where he is, to continue the torture as it is going. He volunteers for this. At every stage, he could just decide not to keep going. So this idea of the Romans forcing shame upon him, you can't force the creator of the universe. Full stop. I mean, you can't force shame upon him. This is something that he would have had to volunteer for at every instant of the process, according to his words to his own students. Again, he says, I could call down legions of angels if I wanted to, but he doesn't do that. So yes, he is volunteering. Him being executed at the end of the day was his idea. He wanted to die for the sins of all the people. He wanted to lay down his life for the sins of all mankind. Yes, he volunteered for this. This was the plan the entire time, was to be the atoning sacrifice. And the method of choice here is crucifixion. He went willingly. So he volunteered for this. So for Yeshua to look at crucifixion and say, that's shameful. I'm a volunteer for it anyway. Let's go do this. Yes, that is him volunteering for something shameful. And if he's sinless, but he volunteered for shame, that means shame doesn't equal sin. And if shame does equal sin, then Yeshua volunteering to take on shame makes him a wicked, awful sinner. Food for thought.